outside? I don't know.
Nah,
Okay.
I think
No,
it
it's a narrow window. Sorry.
yeah, it's all good. Y'all, you know what? Y'all are used to being close to each other, and this is just what we're gonna use this time to bond.
And we're actually in the same room. Like we can actually point at each other, so we're close to.
All right, so I'm just gonna
Maybe
get
we
us
should do what you
started.
guys do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again, JoAnna. I'm sorry.
Okay, I can lean back.
No, I'm saying maybe we should do what you guys do and like
Oh.
be in the studio and have our own setup. So Dan's not like, get away, stop being so close.
So I'm just gonna get us started. It's mostly just like an interview. We're gonna talk to y'all about like y'all life and stick a poll in it, and that's pretty much the whole thing.
Right.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Test Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we are live on a Tuesday night.
Yes.
Ready to do some podcasting. It's a very special Tuesday because we have some guests. Okay, we have some new first timers on our show, but it's not the first time you've heard about them.
No,
because I went to their event in New York, and this is back like when I was like up there by myself. It was like coming out of the pandemic. You know, we had all kinds of COVID testing at my job. I wasn't having a nightlife. But my man Chris Lambert,
shout out to Chris Lambert,
said, "Hey man, I'm performing at this show. You want to come out here to it?" And I said, "Cool."
And you ended up meeting Mike there too.
And Mike Kaplan was there. I showed up, and I said, "Man, that's weird. It's a pole in the middle of the comedian stage, bro. What are you? You got something you want to tell me? You,
I mean, are you gonna get on the pole?
You starting the OnlyFans? What's going on?" And he said, "Nah." It's like a it's a comedy show / pole dancing show. And I said, what the fuck, bro? That's not two things that go together. And I was wrong. It was so good. When Karen came to visit, I had bought tickets to be like, Karen, you gotta come see this shit too. This is crazy. And we went and saw it together. We went with Hemda Khalili, and her boyfriend.
So was
Mercy's.
Keeping the girl.
Yeah.
Was it Led Zeppelin though?
I believe it was Led Zeppelin. This is how good it was, guys. It was so good. I don't know Led Zeppelin music. It didn't matter.
No, it didn't matter.
It was still lit up in there. So our guests today are JoAnna Ross and Dan Goodman. They put on this great comedy show / pole dancing show. It's called Stick a Pole in it. And I just gotta tell y'all, it's magnificent.
Yes.
We talked about it on our podcast. We've told people if you're in New York, definitely go see it. It's every 2 weeks. It's different artists every 2 weeks. It's on a Friday or a Saturday. You pick which day you want to go out there. It's lit. And it's such a good time. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for a good leading. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We're out of here. Bye-bye. See you later. We're gonna mess it up here.
We had such a good time. And when we got back, I raved and I told my mother-in-law, I said, next time we go to New York, I said, we're going to get tickets and go. Because I was like, it is so much fun. Because for me, I had never been in anything similar to a strip club. So my first time seeing a pole. I know that might sound silly, my first time seeing like a pole and just the atmosphere and all that stuff. And it was wild to me. This is just somebody from my first experience. It was adult but family friendly. And I know for a lot of people,
lots of families come out to the show. That's real, like, it's pole's best foot forward. Let's just say that.
Yes, and it was beautiful because people were on the pole, and you could hear like sections cheering, and I was like, oh, that must be it took me a while. I was like, oh, that must be their family and friends coming to support, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But the thing, y'all, that really got me, I know this might sound silly, was the person that had to clean the pole. That was the most interesting person of the whole thing. Because I was like, hey, what are they doing? Because I didn't understand that they had to clean the pole between each act. And I was like, that's the most interesting person out of everybody on the stage.
no offense to all the comedians, I guess.
But, no offense to all the comedians.
No. It's so great to hear like people's take on what they think. Like someone that's never seen it, never heard of it. So I think
we've done it for 11 years. I'm totally numb to it. I have no thoughts at all about pole. I'm just like, I don't know. But like, for your listeners, you need a pole cleaner because you can't. It's dangerous on a sweaty pole, right? You can't just hop on a pole. It happens at strip clubs. You just don't notice it. Like, man,
right.
like
we make a scene of it.
There's so much going on, but you'll like, and also sometimes they don't because the girls are not really doing anything, right? Like, they seem like a lot's going on because of the music and the lights and the sound. A lot of times she's just doing a little two-step in front of the pole. Nothing's happening.
Right. You know, it's interesting too because with the poles, I feel like everybody's been in a strip club at some point. You've probably seen a stripper slip down.
Not Karen. Karen's never been to one.
Except Karen, who's never been.
Yeah, everything was new to me.
But for everybody else, I feel like even on Instagram and stuff, like sometimes they'll show like a stripper like blooper, and it's just like,
yes,
oh damn, they must not clean that pole. That is very dangerous. I just had never thought about it before until I saw.
No, you shouldn't. You should never. No, that's it's the magic, right? You don't want to know about the pole cleaner, but you have to see the pole cleaner. So we're like, okay, well, sometimes the pole cleaners are wild, like they're pole dancers, and so they've done like tricks on the pole, or they're like more personality. So like people are really excited to see them. If they have fans, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it. And here's the thing too, like it's cool in your mind right now you're listening to us, you ain't thought about it, and it's like the hottest, sexiest thing in the world that you're thinking about, and then you're like, and then it's funny, like it's funny for 7 minutes, then it's sexy for 7 minutes. What the fuck is happening? But I promise you, it almost feels like the energy of going to like a recital,
Yes,
like it's such supportive energy from the crowd. Like it's not like strip club energy is weird because it's almost like if you put food in front of like hungry sharks, they're not talking, they're not having a good time, they're not rooting for the food.
Just dudes looking straight ahead, not talking to nobody.
Yes, it's not interactive, and the thing is, we were eating and drinking, and I was cheering it because for me, I got caught up in the energy of the people. It was like a big supportive group, and as the show went on, I was like, oh, the dancing got more advanced. I was like, oh, so as we go along, and so at the end, I was like, oh, this is the difference between the beginning and the end.
Well, also, that's the other thing. Like, while they are very skilled, like strippers who do stuff on poles, like I said, it's the shark energy. Everybody's just like, oh my god, titties. But with this, you actually saw people appreciate athleticism.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh,
like you saw people be like, how the fuck is she doing that? Type of energy, and now it's just a different type of energy. So even if you are a person that's a little like, I don't know, man,
it's like watching an athlete.
It's essentially you're watching athletes.
Yes,
between also laughing your balls off. It's so amazing.
Yes.
How'd y'all come up with this?
Say it again.
How'd y'all come up with this idea?
Oh, sure. Well, Dan had a short film called Skinja, and it's do you want to tell him the title?
Yeah, I had a short film based on my joke, Skinja. Skinja is about a stripper by night, ninja by later that night. And she's a single mom, and the city takes her kids because she's getting naked and doing karate, And it was good. We worked a lot of pole dancers, a lot of comedians. The movie had a tagline said, you can't spell assassin without ass and sin. And you can see it on YouTube. You can see the trailer. We didn't shoot a whole thing. We just shot a teaser.
So it's really great. And I worked at a pole dancing studio teaching yoga at the time, and Dan needed a bunch of pole dancers to be in his short. So that's how that happened. So I knew all these pole dancers. And
wait, can I just tell a funny story? Sure. That like in the beginning, I was like, I need like real Skinja. Like I need like hood, like crazy wild lady. And then like we would go out to the clubs, sometimes by myself, sometimes with JoAnna, and like I would approach.
No, it was all without me, and he wasn't. Yeah. And then he's like, "I'm a producer," and then I was like,
"You're a real scumbag."
They signed up for something completely different. They might think it's a casting couch, not a pole.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "I think I need to go." So,
but either way, like, JoAnna was the one who convinced me. Like, no, I think you need someone who's a professional dancer and can show up on time. And I was like, all right, but let me just try. There was a girl who is real life Skinja. Like she is living that life. I'll never forget that we rapped And 6 months later, she was like, "Yo, I'm ready to do that movie." And I was like, "That is classic stripper stuff." Being like, "You emailed me 6 months later, and you're ready."
She was out in the streets doing stingy shit.
Yeah. We're just
Skinges aren't on time.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody knows that. They run on skinja time, man. So like, what is the idea? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we did some. So I knew a bunch of pole dancers, and then a friend of ours had breast cancer, and we were like, I wanted to have a benefit for her, because she was really young, was like 40. And so we're comics, and I work in this other world, and I was like, oh, these pole dancers need places. Like, I think they'll perform. Like, they don't really have a lot of places to perform. So I asked them, they're like, yes. And then, I'm like, we'll do it all day, an all day marathon, comics and pole dancers. And Dan's like, we should not do that. That all day marathon sounds horrible. And I was like, no, it's going to work. And then right before the show, a lot of pole dancers, got hurt. It's very athletic. Like you said, they get hurt. And so we only had 5 pole dancers and 5 comics. And that's what the show still is today. Dan and I were not supposed to host it. We had a drag queen, Blackie O'Nasty, and she was supposed to come, and she doesn't show up.
Also not on time.
Not on time. So Dan's like, you have to host. I was like, okay. And
because I wasn't going to host that shit. I'm like, no one wants to see me host a comedy and pole dancing show for breast cancer.
Yeah, I feel you. Like a drag performer seems to make perfect sense,
right?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, as you both know, hosting is not easy, and so but I did it, and Dan or I host to this day now. So one of us hosts and one of us closes the show, and then the other day it just switches. So we did it one time, and I was like, no more. I don't want to do this ever again. And then
I was by the way, I was completely skeptical. I was like, I don't think this is a show at all. I was like, this is not a show, but we can raise money. It's fine. I think at the end of that first show, JoAnna was like, I'm never doing that again. I was like, we should definitely do that. Yeah. We need to do that immediately. Yeah.
It's just a lot of work.
How did you know, to do it again? Like, what was the thing that you're like, no, this could be a thing?
I didn't.
Because I was in the back. I think I was just in the booth playing music in between, and I did a set. And it was easier for me to just be in the back and be like, oh, this show works. It moves. It was like under 2 hours. I'm like, oh, we could try and do this again.
I would say a lot of people were very nice afterwards and were like, you guys should do this again. And I was just exhausted. I was like, I can't hear any of this right now. But I think probably that was a little bit too, like a lot of the pole dancers were like, you should do this again. And I was like, I don't know. And then we did it another time. We did it on a Tuesday in the middle of December at a bar that we did it, where we did the benefit. And they're like, do you want to come back and do it every 4th Saturday of the month? And we did. And that's how it all started.
Has it always been at the same location of Drum, or
has it?
No, we had 3 locations. One closed down the week of our show, and we're like,
the first one had poles in. So now I have to put up a pole every show, which I am medium happy about. Sometimes not happy about. And then so that's the big thing of I've learned a lot about ball bearings and pole maintenance.
Not what you thought.
It's not as glamorous as you think.
No one appreciates the real work,
No. And then we when that closed down, our neighbor had a bar that's since gone now. What was it called? No Mouse Palace. So he let us put up a pole. So we did it there. And then we were at Le Poisson Rouge. They kicked us out. Fuck them. And then we ended up here, and we've been there for 7 years. 8.
Now, why did they kick you out? Was it because of specifically the show or something?
No, it was audience of
New York, the venues are crazy in the sense of they're always not making money, and it's really hard. You guys will understand this because you're in the business of it's really hard to ever compete with the DJ, because a DJ, if a DJ works for 4 hours, they can turn the audience over 4 times, right? So if the venue holds 500, then you could potentially get 2,000 people coming and going. Where a 90-minute show at some bigger venues, they're not they gotta get seats out. They're not really set up for it. Does that make sense? Where
And at the time, we were like, we did really well. The show was really great. And they were just like, you need to have more people here. And they didn't want to give us any room. Like it was either we sell out, and it was a big venue. I think seated almost was 200, so, and we were like, okay. And then we were really bummed. And, they were really like a professional, like they had their shit together. They were like, this is your rehearsal time. We have a lighting person. Like this is, and then they were like out. But the good thing is like, we have a taller, you've seen the show, like the pole was taller there. It would have been shorter. So maybe it's just where we were supposed to be.
No, it's good. Like the venue we're at now, the pole has a permanent mount. We don't need to spend this whole podcast talking about the various pole mounts, but there are various.
No, this is what the audience wants. This is what the audience wants.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, here's the deal. You have either most of it actually works just like a ball bearing, where like if you have like a rolling bar in your house, like you push it in, no difference actually than a toilet paper roll. Like you goes into a socket.
Okay.
And it spins around, right? But you turn
that. So dangerous when you
turn it on the side. A lot you can do under 11 feet. You can do a pressure pole, which works just like a pull-up bar you put in your doorway on the side.
Yeah.
However, it will come down. It will come down. And also the crazy thing about pressure poles, which I know, like if you rent in New York and you put up a pressure pole, it will fuck up your ceiling, but it will not matter because your landlord would never think, did you put a pressure pole in here? It will crack your ceiling, but they will never. I know for a fact people have gone to the landlord and be like, I don't know how that got there. And he's never be like, are you using a Platinum Stages pressure pole?
How did you find out that the pole will come down? I imagine that was a harrowing moment.
Oh, it's through experience. Yeah, it's through experience, and they actually there's kind of like a design flaw. I think that it can be up and look sturdy, and spin down. Like if you and that's all. Like if you don't have, there's something called something called stud finder. It's real common if you don't know what's in your ceiling, and it's possible if you're not on the support beam and it's not perfectly in there with a lot of force.
And also performance force, right? Most people have that in their home. Everything you see in someone's home is that. It's just a pressure pole. That's not going to come down. But then
that's absolutely not. It comes down. It comes down people.
Yeah, but not that's not what you're for 90% of the time. They're just working on their stuff. They're not going at a performance level speed, energy, and so that's why we really didn't.
Or if it comes loose, you just stop and adjust it. Right. Here's the thing about poles coming down. The person in danger is not the pole performer. The person in danger always is the pole performer will ride it down like a pole vault. The person in danger is the person sitting in the front row of the audience, taking a drink, looking up, being like, oh, I guess I should move. I mean, we were at a show where a pole came down and some dude was like, you take that shit down. He was hype. He thought it was part of the show. I was like, oh no. That's not what anybody wanted to happen.
This is a part of the show. Woo!
Yeah, he thought it was a part of it. You never want to see a pole come down. And I don't even know if we have the experience to talk about it because we only have our pole, it is.
Well, if you have a mount, a proper mount where the top of the pole goes into a ball bearing. So it is not going to go anywhere. The worst thing would happen is that ball bearing mount would rip out of the ceiling. That's super unlikely.
Right.
I will say this: everyone thinks it's weight based, who the heavier person's going to take down the pole. It is not. It is definitely how fast or strong,
centrifugal force.
Yeah, it's everyone thinks it's going to be this real tall girl or the dude who's real jacked. And it's always a tiny little gymnast lady who gets at the top of the pole and just can really give a lot of force.
It's that torque, man. You can shake that shit up. And listen, I'm not saying that it'll happen, but I mean, them they be going at it.
Yes,
they be on the poles working hard, dog. It's I said,
it's just so much fun. I was a kid. at like Disney World going, oh my gosh, what's the next trick? What is going to happen next? Like each time I would get more and more excited as like I said, as somebody who is like everything was new to me, so it was like a whole new world.
Now, did y'all meet because of the Skinja thing? Like, was that y'all's first time meeting, or did y'all know each other before that?
No, but I want to get back to Karen. You're like the best person to sell this show because most people have never seen and they don't know what they're coming to. And it's so fun to talk to someone because, again, Dan and I are like, we love the show. We think everyone will like it. But definitely people are like, like you said, I don't know. I don't know what this is. And even if you say family friendly, then there's going to be people being like, I don't want to see family friendly stuff.
Right.
And then, some people definitely come and think they're going to see naked ladies, and that is not what's going to happen. And then they still love it because they're like, this is insane. I've never seen this before.
I also think like sometimes I forget because, again, we've been doing it like 11 years. I will run into somebody who will explain the show and they have that nervous look on their face. And I was like, listen, if you come, it won't be uncomfortable. And I get like, they think it's going to be like you're walking into somebody's like one-man show. You're like, what is this? What's this gonna be? Like I can see the fear in their eyes because like they're not even like, I think sometimes because it's different, it's like they're not worried about the sexuality, they're not worried about the jokes, but they're just like, is this gonna be some weirdo shit? And you just gotta be like, no, it's not gonna be weirdo shit. It's been around. And most of the time I'm like, we've been in the New York Times, like it's fine. And then they go, oh, okay, all right, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm honestly, when Chris took me, he didn't tell me what kind of show it was till we got there, and I'm glad because I would have freaked out because I'm just an awkward person. I'm like, the energy's gonna be weird. I'm a fucking I'm a loser. I just want to sit back. I don't know. And then like soon as like the first performer and then the first comedian go, and I swear it's just like such a good vibe after that. I just remember the end being like, oh my god, that was so fun. I'm coming back to this shit.
Yes, and
I would think that's the craziest part. People think it's gonna be some weird, like off the wall weird shit. It's actually like the most straight down the middle, just like entertainment. Like it's like almost like 1950s entertainment. Like
it's honestly it's the perfect combination because the comedians kind of level it out.
Yes.
Like honestly, it's like maybe it would feel weird if you've never watched pole dancing and then you showed up and there was like 2 hours of pole dancing. You're like, okay, am I being weird right now? And it's like they're encouraging you. They're like, yo, record this shit. Put this on your social media. Like help us get more people to see it and come to the club. Like it's not no weird. Like you go to a strip club and you pull out your phone, you go in jail.
You're out.
Yeah,
they're like, what are you doing?
Like it's a totally different vibe.
Right.
Everyone's so proud. And also it's not necessarily a competition in the way of like oh man, I didn't come for that dancer. I don't appreciate you. Like people were like, yeah, you
to everybody.
And then the next girl goes up and they're like coming out high-fiving each other and stuff. And I'm just like, yo, this is so fucking cool. I'm so glad you didn't tell me what this was.
It is like, you know, it's so funny. I never think of it being supportive. I think it's such a thing we want to create. Like, listen, it's a show. The best person goes last. Mm-hmm. You know, like we know who that is. We book like comics, just like we book pole dancers. You don't want 5 of the same. You don't want, you know, like we kind of know the way they dance at this point. It's been 11 years. A lot of them are the same. If they're new, they're new. And even when they're new, it's like, you can't do this. It's hard. And you're not going to see a new pole dancer on our show because you wouldn't want to. No. You wouldn't want to see an open mic, a 2-hour open mic, you know, like of comedy. So it's, you know, like even though they're new to our show, they're not new to pole dancing. We've already like, we set like a bar, at least something that we're like, you know, again, you just wouldn't want, you know, you don't want to see a setup, right? You want to see just like, or, you know, the punchline coming kind of thing. So I think it's the same. We try to create the same thing with the show so that you aren't like, what is this?
Listen, I think the thing we've worked on the most is that like, oddly, I always have to push a line of like straight dudes have to feel comfortable at the show. And that might sound ironic, but I think the pole dance community always wants it to be like, lady empowerment, LGBTQ for everybody, hooray for everybody. And a lot of times we have to be like, no, it's not a hooray for everybody show. We're gonna say jokes. In the beginning, I think there was pole dancers would bring.
I don't know if I agree with that.
The pole dancers would bring their friends and who would just come out to see them pole dance.
Oh,
no, you can't do that. And I'm like, no, we can. And this is not this is not it's not just a pole celebration show. You gotta celebrate both things.
That's super important because I do think comedy for sure has to have a certain amount of freedom. And like even in a supportive environment, we have this with our podcast. We have a very liberal podcast, but you need to be able to laugh too. Like we can't just have such a liberal podcast that is just like NPR and we show up, we do a live show and we make a joke and everybody's like, what's this shit? We just came to hear you read news articles. Like, nah, fuck that. So you do have to have a level of like balance. And I would say the environment felt free. It didn't feel like comedians came in and were like, listen, this isn't your daddy's comedy. All you fucking stuff. Like, it wasn't like that. It was just everyone was free to do their thing. And I really like what you said about having different types of comedians, because I felt it when I went to 2 shows and it felt like I saw 10 different styles of comics. It wasn't like the music might be a theme, but the comics aren't a theme. It isn't like, all right, guys, tonight everybody's this. At least the ones I went to, it felt like everybody.
No, we work really hard to make sure. I think is that something at comedy clubs as a comic, I'm like, why do you have these 5 dudes back to back when they're like and literally they can be all different races, but their style of comedy is the same, right? And it's like one of those things of like, no, but like you could have 2 white guys back to back if they do totally different things, right? And they could like one dude's weird and wacky and somebody tells a story, right? Like I always think we think about that a lot. Like the energy needs to be different, and the same with the dancers. And the dancers are a little different because there's song effects too where they go on the show, right? You can't.
We're not going to end with a slow song. We're not going to, only Purple Rain. Only Purple Rain.
Do the dancers get to pick the song that they go, or do you order that? Like, how does that order work?
So we do a theme, like a music, like an artist. What are we doing right now?
We just did Eminem.
Yeah, we just did Eminem. And then we give them a list of songs that we're like, this is what we would like you to dance to. And then they pick 2 from there. And if they have something that's not on the list, but we really have to then, when they give us their choices, it is definitely like, just if they all pick slow stuff, like we're like, nope, one person's going to dance to something, slow tempo to mid tempo. And we just kind of really,
they're like, there's the reason when that happens is like the Eminem show, perfect example. Like, oh, cool, you want to dance to like that Rihanna shit? Great. But guess what? Somebody needs to do Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Don't. Right? Like, ain't nobody's trying to come to the show and not hear Lose Yourself.
And
right?
they went nuts. It's like after 11 years, I feel like sometimes, not that Dan does, because like I'll just be like, no, we have to hear Lose Yourself. And it's like, it's sometimes not their first choice. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the place will go nuts. And the moment that song came on, people just started singing. And it's like, but again, it's, I don't know.
It's like karaoke. You're like, you ever go karaoke and somebody's trying to do some deep cut and you're like, yo,
right. Why would you do that?
But like, you need to be a really good singer. Like, you need
a really good singer.
Just do the hips.
I think also because you pick these artists that are like popular artists, but the people that come to the show, they may or may not be familiar. Like I wasn't very familiar with Led Zeppelin. At least I didn't think I was. But the songs that played were all songs that I've heard before.
That song, and I know that song.
Miley Cyrus. When I went to that one, the same
that was
thing.
Wild.
Yes, it was so good. I mean, now I do know me some Miley Cyrus though. So like some of the songs I was waiting on, you know what I mean? But she
got some bops. She got some bops. Yeah. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go, Miley.
I'm saying. I was singing my song like,
Hey, do we need to do a Drake versus Kendrick Lamar?
I was gonna ask y'all that. The reason I was gonna ask that is, what do you do, or has it ever happened that you've been planning for an artist and something happens with the artist and you're like, oh no, we can't do that music anymore?
A couple times.
I mean, this is
we were gonna do an MJ show right before Leaving Neverland came out, and I was like,
The Weeknd.
And I was like, that's a Cardi B show right now.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Just do it. Like, wrap it up right now.
Our friend is the biggest Michael Jackson fan, and we sent it to him. We're like all proud. We're like, look what we're doing. He goes, do you guys know there's a documentary coming out on Sunday? You cannot do it. And I was like, what? And so we were like, you know what? Yeah, we're not fighting this out. Like, the show's too important. Like, you know, I don't think people like Yeah, and by the way, Michael Jackson and I were born on the same day, so my whole life, my identity was like I'm a dancer, and yeah. So
by the way, it's still divisive.
Yeah,
like
I know people that don't even think he did nothing wrong, and I'm like,
here's the fun one that I brought it up on the show. I was like, this was supposed to be a Michael show, and I did some I think kind of a relatively neutral joke.
Yeah,
half the crowd was mad that I made fun of a victim. The other half of the crowd thought that he is not guilty. Someone yelled, "Facts don't lie," or was it?
Oh yeah,
facts don't lie, people do. And I was like, okay.
And this is why we're not going to go.
I was like,
yeah.
Great choice.
I don't know why it came up in the dressing room, and it just came up. You weren't in there, and I was like, oh, we were going to do a Michael. Someone goes, oh, you were going to do a Michael Jackson show. And I was like, yeah, we didn't. And this girl, she's younger, goes, why? And I was like, oh, that's why. Like, I don't want to explain why we're not, you know what I mean? Like, and the dancers were kind of like, no, do it. I'm like, we're just not.
That was because the music slaps, which is why the dancers are like, but the music slaps.
The music goes.
But then, like, as a comedian / host, I just imagine y'all having to try to explain it every time.
Actually, Rod, I'm gonna tell you right now, it wasn't. I agree with you. The music does slap, but it wasn't because of that. She wasn't saying that because of that. She was like, no, I don't believe it. So
okay.
And I was like, no, that we're not.
I can see, like, as a dancer, I can see the music mattering more than
the heart. Sure. That's why I still want to do it. I used to dance. I don't know if you guys know that. I professionally dance, and I'm just like, this would be insane. And
Listen, I think I was thinking about, because I had to think about this. I was like, I don't care if you play it at a bar. I'm not gonna be mad at you, but I would like, I can't make money off of this. And that's why I would feel like, okay, unless we're gonna like donate this to like a charity or something like that, right? Like, I don't want to be part of like, I mean, it's on Broadway still, by the way. The MJ show is on Broadway, and I was like, okay,
yes, it is.
My coworkers at Game Theory were telling me to go. I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, everybody said reviews.
Our friend paid cash, so no one knows.
Yeah.
You won't be feeling this credit card, baby.
It's awkward, guys. It's awkward. You know, when the R. Kelly show comes to Broadway, y'all going? I don't know, man. I feel like I got to sit it out.
No digital receipts. I don't blame them.
But it is divisive, weirdly. But I guess if y'all do an all canceled lineup one day, y'all can always put that in your back pocket. And
we thought about doing the Outlaws, like doing like, because then you do R. Kelly. You get to do. Actually, I can't believe it. Like Lizzo sort of ended up on that list of like,
Lizzo's in the. She gotta win that case. She gotta win that trial.
She's in timeout, right? She's in the penalty box.
She's in limbo right now. She if she's innocent, she can't wait for her day in court. If she's guilty, she probably don't want that to go to trial. But absolutely, she's in limbo.
Yeah.
CeeLo got busted for rape. Like,
I remember that. He was on Twitter talking about, so if she sleep, that's still rape. I'm like, shut the fuck up, CeeLo.
Oh, no.
I like Crazy. I love that song.
I loved your voice. I was like, what is happening here?
He did my favorite episode of American Dad ever.
Yes,
like,
with the hot dog.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, that's real funny. I haven't thought about that.
Every time that motherfucker come on, dude, I'll be like, no.
The charges are back. He's like, was like, oh, should I not do that? I'm like, everyone, like you said, like, no, you should not do that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. There's a lot of artists that are getting to be on the list. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like Robin Thicke he like dodged it somehow. He just like
Robin Thicke really did.
Marilyn Manson.
With Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
He's on the dancers were like.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Yeah, man. And then that's another thing you don't want to kill the vibe with the song, right? Because like comedy really needs the vibe. You know what I mean? Like comedy needs motherfucking like, hey, we're floating and we're dancing, here's a song and we're coming back. You don't want to be like, hey, we're floating and we're dancing. Here's a song by somebody everyone hates. All right, comedian, go on up and break the ice. You know,
it's like when a kid, occasionally you'll do stand up and someone will like walk a kid into the room, and you feel like you said, like everyone's having fun, and they're like, fun's over.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like you can't have that. Like, or any, yeah, you're right. Like any distraction, you don't want somebody thinking like, wait, should I be listening to Lizzo? Like any distraction like that is not good for the show.
The biggest distraction we've had, I think, recently, it was so funny because we always do Broadway shows on Thanksgiving. And what did Dan came up after Maria.
Oh, we did West Side Story.
It was controversial. It just was really beautiful and sad. And then Dan's like, let's do comedy. And I was like, perfectly.
Because it's like, you don't want to follow Maria. It's so like emotional. There was something else. Oh no, Adele. We did Adele. And I was like, why not do jokes?
Adele's emotions.
Yeah, Adele said
it was like, I make grown people music.
Yeah. Now, do you ever time the show by current events? Like, for example, this week, Amy Winehouse has a movie coming out. Yeah. Do you ever look ahead to calendar and go, should we do the Amy Winehouse week because that's when the movie comes out?
Correct.
I
think it's hard. It's hard because we're a couple months. We do plan like a couple months out, and then we definitely think like, oh, here's an example. I was like, we had a big debate about Dua Lipa. I was like, nobody gives a fuck about Dua Lipa, and then but the songs are popular, and then I feel like she had to get like we waited like an extra year because I was like you know what I mean. Some people, I feel like sometimes you got to be into their personality a little bit, and so that. Like if you're just a generic pop.
Internet's cutting out. Is it cutting out for you? Mm-hmm. Am I moving? On your screen?
You're moving. Hold on.
Okay, I think their internet might have cut out.
Audience, can y'all hear us? Can the audience hear us?
Yeah, let us know, audience, if you can hear us.
Because we might be the one that's cutting out, and they might be good. You never know.
Yeah.
And I don't see nobody responding, so it.
Yeah, they just disappeared off my screen.
Okay, hold on.
All right, chat room. It's up to y'all to let us know.
Can y'all hear us, chat room? Can y'all hear us? Let me ask them.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause my recording.
Okay.
In case they, I don't know what's going on. Okay, they can hear us. They froze. Okay. Cool. Oh wait, I hear them now.
I hear y'all.
I hear you, and Karen, you're off my screen.
Okay, let me refresh.
What's going on with your computer?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, give us 1 second, everybody. We're gonna get everybody back. I hear them, so I know y'all are here. Y'all can hear us, Dan?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, let's see how I can get y'all back on the screen. I'm gonna refresh. I'll be back in like 1 second.
Perfect.
Off camera.
I see Karen.
On the screen now.
I have to re-invite them.
And then let me check and see if I can re-invite them to be. Okay, they're on. Hey, Dan, JoAnna, if you can hear us, hit refresh.
Yep.
And it should make your camera back active and come back on the screen. Mm-hmm. So let's just give it a second, everybody. Stories was getting too fun. We was having too much fun. There they go.
Boom. There you go.
And we're recording again. Boom. Technical difficulty solved. All right. Well, I forget what point y'all were making because I freaked out when the camera went down. Can y'all hear us on your side? Oh, they're still refreshing.
I don't think they can hear us.
All right. Well, you know what? We're vamping. Mm-hmm. This is just like when the poll comes down at the show. You don't panic. The people in the front row might get a little scared, but we're not going to fall on them. I promise.
But you go with the flow.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. I'm going to pause the recording and see if we can get them back, guys. I saw them on the screen for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But it sounded like they couldn't hear us.
Yeah. Might be a little delay or something, too.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I see their camera. Can y'all hear us?
No, I can't hear you guys.
Uh-oh. Damn, I can hear y'all.
We can hear y'all.
Give me 1 second. Let me see. All right. We can hear you.
Yeah, let them know we can hear them.
1 second.
We can hear you.
All right, chat room, can y'all hear us? They make a point about Dua Lipa pop stars. Thank you, guys. I'll write that down.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, technical difficulties freak us out. All right, they can still hear us.
Process, yeah.
So it might just on their side they can't hear us, but it might be a connection thing or something.
So we can hear them. It's like the thing with Justin sometimes. But actually, what browser they use?
Maybe I can email them or something.
I don't know why I can't hear them. Speakers, Yeti microphone.
Yeah, because we can.
Let's see.
Let me see. Well, I'll put it in the chat. Let's see.
Let's see.
What browser are?
Yeah. What browser are they
Just
using?
close the whole browser.
Yeah, I told him Chrome on the email. Let me see. If we can figure it out. Chrome, okay. Chrome, but you can't hear us. All right. Let me try. Let me try closing and coming back. I'll be right. I'm back.
Yes.
Okay.
Do that.
All right. Let me try that.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I think they went all the way out, and so all right. When they come back, we'll try uninvite and invite them back and see if that restarts the.
Because a lot of times that almost like does a reboot for some reason.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me just make sure. Okay, I see Dan is in there.
Okay. So
oh wait, no, that's wrong. That's not the right person. I invited the wrong person to
uninvite him.
uninvite. All right, so let me uninvite and then re-invite them.
We're back.
We're back.
Oh, they can hear us. Okay, never mind. Don't touch it. All right, we got it. All right, all right, guys, we're back. Oh, and I never stopped recording, so that's all in the show now. So you're welcome. Behind the scenes, everybody that listens later. So y'all were talking about Dua Lipa and how like it can take a while. Sometimes you have to get in the mental space of the artist almost to choose them.
Sometimes it looks like we're a genius, like, and things do happen, like, but again, Dan was saying we book out the show a couple months in advance, so we don't know necessarily. Also, back in the day, we used to be like, if they're a newer artist, we want them to at least have like 2 albums or 3 albums, just because we want more song choices. And so we wouldn't, if they're the hottest new thing, we didn't necessarily want to do them if they were so popular and you can hear them anywhere. But like the 2 that we probably did were Bad Bunny. I mean,
because he was just so hot, and it was a great
Bunny.
show, right? Like,
yeah.
People love Bad Bunny.
Oh, but the Bad Bunny show was nuts. It was.
I bet it was, because he's international, and sometimes I think here in America we don't understand how popular he is around the world.
I know that motherfucker popular because he be in movies and he can't act. Like that's how popular you gotta be. Like it's like he was in Bullet Train. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And why do they keep treating him so special?
Like, who is this?
And then when it gets to the credit, they're like Bad Bunny. I was like, oh, he must really be popping for Brad Pitt to be him up.
I feel like they want him to be right. Like like sometimes shows like they want that to work, and I'm like, because remember when Cardi B came out, like she'd been around like a couple of years, but then there was one year they were like everyone. Like I think there was some like older woman at my gym was like, who is this Cardi? She asked me like I was supposed to explain to her. I was like, who is this Cardi B? I really like her. And she had just seen her in a Super Bowl commercial.
Yep.
And then I remember that same lady being like, find out she was like drugging dudes at a strip club.
Yeah.
And I was like, what did you think this?
Right. That's kind of like right. That's part for the course. It's like being upset Biggie sold drugs. It's like, come on, dog. That's like what she rap about. You know what I mean? It was crazy. I remember she was in Hustlers.
She was
because she got so big. She was in that movie with J-Lo, and she was just being Cardi B. Like they weren't asking her to cry or do no like major acting. They were like, "Yo, be Cardi B, please."
This is my opportunity to talk major shit about Hustlers because we know a lot of people in that movie, and I still to this day think the number one fucked up thing about that movie. A friend saw it on the plane. He was like, "It's fine. What do you care?" I'm like, you can't have a movie about a strip club where the 2 leads don't ever take the top off. Come on.
I said that immediately. I was like, this, because all of our friends are in the background, topless, titties out. And I was like,
right.
How is all the back? There's a scene where everyone is topless except the 2 leads. And I'm just like, but also the background didn't need to all be topless. Why are they all topless? It was nuts. It was
I think
so nuts.
It's the transitive powers of nudity, by which your main actor feels like they don't have to get naked if everyone else is naked. Game of Thrones used to do this a lot, where they have like the two main people being like, oh, the king is going to do this. Oh, you word? Well, the night finna do this. Oh, we got to get the dragons. Meanwhile, in the background, people are finger banging and shit, and you're like, oh, you're trying to trick me into thinking this is a sexy scene. This is a sexy scene.
It's actually really boring.
This is exposition. That's what this is.
If J-Lo got naked, she would have won that Oscar.
I agree.
Let's be honest. But but you know what I mean? Like that whole movie had a lot of
so that plot point where they were trying to be like, finance dudes did the financial collapse, so I'm gonna drug this dude in a club and take his credit. I was like, oh, I don't think you got a little bit of respect.
J-Lo learning how to pole dance in 3 months is a joke. Yeah. Like, what? I mean, you don't learn how to pole dance in 3 months. You just don't.
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, also I think a lot of it was just her being that age and having a body that looks that good.
Right.
That felt like the whole promotion for everything was just every commercial was J-Lo.
Y'all want to see my ass? That was the whole promotion of it.
Right. That was the other thing. She did she used to have a big ass, and then Hollywood was like, you gotta get rid of all that ass. And then she was like, actually, I'm back. And then everybody was like, it was like we were celebrating the return of the ass. Like, okay, I see you not ashamed no more. Good for you, J-Lo. But yeah, it wasn't an Oscar-worthy movie by any right.
No, by any means.
No. And I remember in the theater, because I knew what it was about. I remember in the theater, like, we're sitting there watching it, and you could feel when they start drugging dudes and taking their money, and they're not like finance guys. You can feel people in the movie be like, I don't know if this is cool. Like the movie wants you to be excited for them, and you're like, you can feel people be like, I don't think this is good. I don't think you should.
I don't think I'm supposed to. Am I rooting for the right people?
I mostly identify with
Which one? Yeah.
I mostly identify with Keke Palmer's character, because Keke Palmer's character was scared as hell the whole time, and I was like, yeah, that's how I would be. Yeah. I feel like, guys, I think we might go to prison. This seemed like a bad idea. I thought I was okay with the stripping for money thing. I like this shit is extra right now.
I also think the fact that they again had all of their clothes on and made a lot of money being strippers. Like, I'm like, that's what do you like? And then like people are gonna be like, I want to be a stripper. You don't have to take your clothes off. You get all this money. I'm like, I think this is like.
I was mad too at the scene where like Constance Wu, I think she had to give like a hand job for like $100 and was still mad about it. I'm like,
in the 40, it was like $40.
Oh, it's $40, and I was like, you ain't been in this game that long. That's the worst thing that happened to you. Yeah, I think most strippers would be like, cool.
I like that they made the dudes seem like a creep to go to the champagne room and be like, so y'all getting naked, right? And they're like, wow, this fucking asshole wanting women to get naked.
Yeah.
It's a song called No Sex in the Champagne Room as a running joke.
No sex is one thing. No getting naked is crazy. That's
crazy.
That's insane considering how much a champagne room costs.
Yeah, you're going to pay lots of money.
Divorced from reality. That movie is completely divorced from reality. And I will say this, though. There is something that I was unaware of that.
I think they kept adding clothes to their outfits. Like, as the show goes on, their stripping outfits had more clothes on. I was like,
it's like, how are you stripping on?
So crazy. Constance Wu had on stockings and
she did have like
in a and like I was like, what is this? Is so fucking
right, because it was like an Amish strip club where you'd see parts of her leg, right? That would be it. Like you'd see like her midriff and her upper thigh and like a calf. Because she had like different like things on.
So crazy.
This is the greatest review because I saw the movie, but I never thought about it from either a realism or a stripping perspective. I only thought of it as like a movie perspective of like, oh yeah, it's a movie where they were like kind of doing a heist and they were playing strippers. But yeah, zero realistic. None of it's real. None of it could have happened.
Yeah, zero.
I will say New York does have this weird tier of strip club in Midtown where like if you're in the boroughs, they all have their own different rules, but it's mostly whatever. But within some, there's every club has its own.
Be topless or no alcohol or something like that, or naked,
touching or whatever. Like they all have their own thing. There is a class of strip club in Midtown because I know this from finance friends where dudes from England and other countries will go there and not know that you should be getting naked or like if you go, like, something extra will happen, and those girls will take advantage of that, being like, if you like, they'll just like they'll do like dumb guys, and sometimes they're on corporate credit cards, so they don't care. But mostly, that's like someone scamming, right? Like I remember like one time I went to Sin City. It was a big strip club in the Bronx, and I was just sitting there talking to my friend, and I think because I was like the only white dude there, they like thought I was a chump, and this girl just started like dancing on me, and I was talking to my friend. I was talking to my friend, just ignoring her, and then she kept like dancing on me, and then she was like, "You gotta pay me," and I was like, "Miss, I do not." Like, and she was real mad, and it was just
you came over here.
Yeah, there's like, I know my rights.
Yes, I know my.
Yes, that happened to me. That happened to Roger.
Yeah, that happened to me once. My homie that I used to work with, we would go to lunch almost.
We're back. We're back.
Oh, okay. So all right. Y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're good.
So my homie that I used to go to lunch with every day apparently was like the strip club regular. I didn't know he was like that. I just like, and so he goes, he made it seem like a very spontaneous idea. He's like, "Oh, I heard the men's club has 69-cent spaghetti. That's a good deal." I'm like, how the fuck do you even know the specials at the strip club?
And spaghetti is 69 cents. What's the catch?
And once we get there and they're like, "Hey, Pat," I'm like, "Oh, that's how you know. You be up in here." And so
what town was this?
This is lunchtime, Charlotte, North Carolina,
where we're from.
We're from the South, so like you know, they can take it all off here. You can see Hole and everything. So they're like, they come over, like he's talking to strippers, not like sex talk, like having a conversation. Like one of them wanted him to help her move apartments that weekend, and he asked me like, "You want to help her?" I was like, "No, I just fucking got here, and that is not the deal at all." It
was for 69 cents spaghetti. How did we get here?
I'm starting to suspect that this spaghetti not even that good, bro. And it's a 2-drink minimum on the fucking spaghetti, so we actually paying like $20 for spaghetti, dude. This was all like just so you could go to the strip club. But yeah, same thing. One girl came up and started like sitting on my knee and dancing. I was like, "Ma'am, I'm literally only here for the spaghetti. I didn't even know this was a thing. I don't have this
just be money. Just tell them right now.
I don't even know what the fuck my man is doing right now with this." And she was like, "Oh no, it's cool. We could just talk because it's lunch and it's dead and nobody's in there." And then she just ended up, you know, I'm a podcast introvert ass motherfucker. So we just ended up, she told me like her life story and shit. We were just like talking regularly. Cool. Yeah, but it was weird though, because I did have that moment, Dan, where she's on my leg and I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm gonna have to tell you, I'm not paying for whatever this is."
Whatever this is.
And it's, you can get off my leg. This is not required. Have a seat over there if you want.
It's so different for women when we go there, right? Like that just doesn't happen. Like, you know.
Yeah, because they're not trying to get money out of you.
Yeah. Like, they're like, "Oh,
they're having fun." You're like, listen, I think it's hilarious that Philly and Pennsylvania in general has a thing that all the strip clubs do like baked ziti on Friday. And I'm like, all the foods, you're talking about spaghetti. I'm like, none of these foods go with people performing a sexual act. Like, why is it always pasta?
Why wouldn't it just be like a finger food, like a wing or something? Yes. What the fuck is, like, I got may I have more Parmesan? What the fuck is this shit?
Will you bring my silverware out?
Yeah, it was the worst, man. 0 out of 5 would not recommend. Great conversation, but it was terrible stripping. And then the other thing too is when you guys are doing, are y'all still there? Can y'all hear us?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. When y'all are booking the comedians, how does that work? Like, do y'all, because you host this show, but do you do stand up any other time, or is it just y'all save it all for the 2 weeks?
Oh no, we do as many shows. Like, you know, we're always trying to get on other comedy shows. So we've also been doing comedy. Dan's been doing comedy in the city a lot longer. I was in LA before this. But so we kind of know a lot of comics, which is how we book them or over the years.
There's people just done shows with for years, and like, you know, that's why also like one of us will host the show because the person gets to close out, like has more of a set. We're hosting, you know, his work, right? Like it's making everyone else look good. But yeah, we work during the week, and like our show is like a business at this point. We do it 4 times a month, so. those are like important gigs to us, like money wise. And then we fill in with as much stand up as we can around the show.
Is it ever weird between like the stand-ups where you're like, I can't pick this guy for my show yet, he's not ready, or like is it
absolutely.
Is it
how y'all deal with that?
Ooh. Yeah, it's good. We gotta be careful.
I
about the dancers, but I'm like, I gotta be careful about the comics.
Oh no, you're not gonna.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
I was about to say, do comedians, since you guys are established, you've been doing this so long, do you have people just rush and ask you, can they be on? Versus, because when you actually go and you scout, that's different. But a lot of times, some comedians, their whole thing is they want to get as much stage time as possible. So they just kind of reach out to everybody. So
they just show up and they're actually in they're actually in the pole dancing uniforms. So they're like, either way, I can get booked. So if I'm not funny enough, let me hit that pole real quick, and then
I'm gonna get stage time either way.
You gotta reject them twice.
Yeah. I would say that I'll
you should answer this. I don't want to.
I would say we definitely don't want someone's first, like if they just started comedy,
right?
This isn't the show for them. I mean, all the comics are making this look easy, but it's not the easiest room because sometimes you just don't know who the audience is, like any show. But I would say that, just as much as Dan and I want to push the envelope with comedy, our show is definitely pushing back because they don't know what it is. So, mainstream comedy goes really well on our show, and people that we think are really funny or weird or different, sometimes we just don't book them because we're like, they don't even understand you're doing a character on our show. And that's not the,
I can see that.
Yeah, we don't want to like babysit the audience. Like we want to try, but every time we do try, it doesn't necessarily go awesome. So it's easy to tell someone that's first time, like, or in the first 5 years of their comedy career, like this might not be the show for you.
Right.
And then I would, Dan and I always thought this show would be like people would like really want to be on it and busting down our door. That doesn't necessarily happen. So like, usually it is like newer comics, and that's easy. Like
say no,
to say no. Like,
because like JoAnna's right, like the audience is not as everyone booked on the show makes it look good, but the audience is not as forgiving. Like you think it's a rah-rah environment, and if you go up there with some like Wednesday night shit on a Saturday show, it is a lot like an urban room where people will turn on you and it will not be good. And like because it's a mixed audience, it'll be just icy silence, but it is still bad. And
I was going to ask
very aware that you should not be on this show.
I was just going to ask you, like, how do you even get the room back after like a bomb in the middle of that?
They're ready. They're so ready. They're because there's a pole dancer in between. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ron. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. But, because there's a pole dancer, everyone wants everyone to do well. They're there to see an amazing show. This isn't like they want to heckle someone, but again, if they just don't understand, they just won't make noise. And by the way, there's a lot of like smiling, and we're like, oh no, laugh. It's okay. Sometimes I like that with the pole dancers. Yeah. Right. Sometimes with the pole dancers, they're not audible until the end, and they just completely erupt like they were singing. And I'm like, oh no, you could have clapped the whole time, but it's okay. I mean, like, it
took me a second when I went to really know, like, oh no, you can cheer because it's almost like watching I don't know, like if you go to like a circus and see a trapeze artist or some shit.
That's how
like in my brain, I'm like, don't fucking disturb her.
Yeah. I don't want to be the person to fuck the show up.
Right. She gonna slip and flip into the fucking crowd because I just couldn't contain myself. But after a few rounds and you see other people like especially, I mean, honestly, you don't have to know shit about pole dancing. It's certain shit you gonna have somebody do, and you're like, you need to applaud that shit.
Right.
This motherfucker is perpendicular to the ground using just their arms.
It's contagious. Yeah.
You can normally just tell people, like, if someone's upside down, you make fucking noise. It's like you don't have to figure it out. Like, that's it. Yeah.
Super easy.
There's the thing where people want to throw money, and that actually is something we ask them not to do because the dancer will slip on it. And also then you don't want to see someone like clean up money between the show.
Super weird.
I was like, we just tell like just Venmo. I'm like a goddamn grown up.
Yeah. Also, there are like most shows do have them throw money. So then they're in this world of like, well, why can't we throw money? I'm like, because they just work their ass off, not for you to throw money during their most impressive trick. And you hit him in the face. Like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Like, do you see what's happening? Like, and then we had to there was a time where we had to be like, no. And Dan had this really funny thing. He's like, hey, we pay them. Like, and again, but if you want to give them more money, everyone wants more money. Like, Venmo them. Like, go find them. They will give you their Venmo. But
yeah, this is something that, like, again, no one thinks about, and you don't notice as much in the strip club because while one girl's scooping dollars, someone else is taking the stage. Right. If you only have one performer on at the time, it is really cumbersome and time-consuming to scoop individual dollars, and you end up like, even if you're the prettiest person.
Job.
The host,
it'd be my job as the host, and now I'm not. I'm
on
my hands and knees.
Yeah, it looks weird. Like, yeah. By the way, can we just talk about in the chat that someone said for strip club food we have crab cakes, and lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Yeah.
I think she in DC.
I don't know.
She in DC.
She in the DC area. That sounds weird. That's a weird combination.
That's weird and delicious, Miss Smart.
I mean, that's fancy.
Get up and go eat some lamb chops and crab cakes, baby.
Lamb chops are expensive.
Lamb chops, that's a fancy strip club.
Also, like, low key, I don't want my strip club food too nice. I don't want. I want it to be a little bit like I shouldn't even be eating this. Like, I want like. That's the kind of food they just serve in a strip club. Who the fuck wants lamb?
I feel like you shouldn't eat the lamb chops at a strip club.
Yeah.
But give me some food
give me some food that I shouldn't be eating anytime. That's what should be in a strip club. It should be fried everything. Fucking like, I don't want like,
it's just my food. You don't want like a bloody steak at a strip club. That's too much. I can't be doing that.
Like, now I
pepper wings. Let's go.
Now if I have a bloody steak at a strip club, I feel like Cardi B should drug me and rob me. Like, I'm doing everything wrong. That's too fucking decadent, dog. Let's just give me some fried chicken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is like, when did a steakhouse become a strip club, right? You're like,
They have those. They just adding on. They're just trying to get more money.
That's true. I think that pretty soon they're going to have good wine there, a decanter, a sommelier.
Yes! They're going to tell you how to match it up with your cheese.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come out with the charcuterie board.
It's too much.
Yes.
Now, have y'all ever had the comedians be thrown off by the pole dancing? Because I can see that getting in their heads more tthan it would bother the pole dancers.
In the beginning, it was really kind of I don't want to say rough, but definitely we didn't have a lot of people sitting, so people stood, and it's not good for comedy, right, to be standing. And so it was very much like the comics were like, what am I going up for after this? And they were really good. It still happens because they're so good and they're like, I have to follow that. But every time a comic says that or really embraces what's really happening and says what they really mean, it always goes well. Like, everyone wants to hear that you're scared and why am I here? Or, of course, I have a boner. I've never done stand up with a boner. That always goes well, so I think, they're just pros. And that's, again, goes back to, you can't be thrown, experience.
Oh, I love when Boris does this comic. Boris Hyken does this joke every time it's on the show. It's like, do you notice that they clean the pole, but they don't clean the mic? That shit kills me every time. Like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I like. I saw a comedian go. I forget which night it was, but they made the point of like, so I know you guys just want to get back to watching people pole dance. Like, let me get my set out the way, and it started rocky at first, and then they just like killed it by the end. And I was like, oh, fuck, that was so good. And then bam, you are watching pole dancing again. It is hilarious and fun. It's such a great time.
I would say that there has been a few times where they are saying that not exactly what you just said, but really mean it. And then it doesn't go well for them because it's like, no. Everyone's here to see you. Like, it works. I know you don't think it works, but it works. Everyone's here. Everyone's going to love it. Just do jokes. You don't have to like, do self. Yeah. Like what you said is perfect and that happens and it goes well. But sometimes they say that and it just goes downhill. Like, no. Yeah, like it's kind of like they go inside and like, no, just do your set. Everything will be fine. It's not weird. I know it seems weird.
Yes.
Like right?
Yeah. Something they get nervous. It doesn't. It's hard. Like it doesn't go well. It never goes well. But
it's not nervous. They just don't think it works.
Yeah.
Oh, do they have like rules for the comics, like don't touch the pole or like stuff like that?
No, they touch the pole all the time. Then we re-clean it. Yeah, there's been comics who like try to like definitely we have a picture of some comic inverting, like, you know, it's like, I can do it. Like, yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, oh yeah.
I can do it.
Like, what are you trying to prove, man?
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Jokes. Also, I can't think of anything sweatier than a comedian performing touching that fucking pole. Like,
or a t-shirt, you're gonna slip, you're gonna fall. You have to have skin contact. Like, we have too many clothes on to pole dance.
Now,
but, they all love to touch it. They love to touch the pole.
Do you ever repeat artists? Like, is there artists where you're like, yo, we can do Prince 12 times?
Because it's so much.
Or is it just like
one time? Yeah, last year we did 4 Prince shows for the different eras. Because Prince has so many eras.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's
we wanted to do albums, but that was a little too hard, right? Because there's like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 songs off this one so we did like 10 years, and then obviously just Purple Rain is Purple Rain.
Right. I thought it was fascinating, and I wouldn't know until we did the show that early Prince is what everybody think mid-career Prince is. Meaning, like, all the hits were really early.
Yeah.
And then people think mid-90s Prince is the Prince you love. I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Late 80s Prince is the Prince you love.
Yes.
You were unaware of what his music was.
And
right?
when cry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that, I mean, oh, yeah, I love Prince so much. We probably were doing Prince once a year, and then we took off this year. We might still do them, but we usually do Prince in February. What else? We've only done a couple artists twice.
Guns N' Roses is always just fun. Like, the music's real fun. Nirvana's real fun.
We did Nirvana twice. We did.
We did
Biggie twice.
We did Lizzo twice.
No, we were gonna do Lizzo twice. We were gonna do her this year.
Damn.
We did it. Did we do 2 Wu-Tang shows?
Nope.
Just 1.
Nope.
I'm trying to think about what else.
Yeah, we do.
We haven't repeated many. We did Beyonce.
We did LL Cool J twice. We did Frank Sinatra twice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Beatles. We did the Beatles twice. Yeah, but like, there's very few that we've done. Prince is the only one that we've done a lot, right? Because it's just easy, right?
And he has so much music. And when we were only doing 1 show a month, we kind of look back and we're like, oh, maybe we'll do that again because we only did it once. You know, like every year or 2. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think, what I think helps too is that era of music also had a lot of like guitar solos, and them fucking, like, anything that had like a breakdown in the fucking song, them dancers was killing that shit.
Because it gives them a time to shine.
Like, because then it's like, I don't know what kind of practice they do, but they know. They be like, all right, when it get to like 1 minute and 30 seconds, I'm about to spin on this motherfucking pole. Y'all gonna think it's a tornado in this bitch. And it's like, and it be going perfectly with the music. Like, it's so good.
It is so much fun.
You know,
Rod, you definitely saw the Miley Cyrus, because pop music is I don't want to say the easiest, but it is set up. It is like a power ballad, but with some, and power ballads are like, that's gold, right? Because the guitar solo, and when to put your big spin pole pass in, and I think the Miley Cyrus was like a really good show for that.
I think Flowers had just dropped like maybe a week or 2 before that show.
And that girl that was supposed to do Flowers canceled the day before the show, and I was like, oh, now Flowers wasn't in the show, and I was really bummed. So we want to do that.
We did. How many years have we done Ludachristmas?
Oh,
Ludachristmas is like, but here's a fun thing about music. I wanted to do a Tribe Called Christmas, and Tribe music is really not as much as I enjoy it in my headphones. It is not.
Not a lot of BPM. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kind of low.
Tribe like one of my favorite groups of all
Yeah,
time, but it's
Project
not a lot of high pitched songs. Like Outkast, you could probably do.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
We've done Outkast, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the dancers beg,
Beyonce, we've done Beyonce a couple times.
the dancers beg us for Drake, and I was like, nah, it's too mid tempo. It's too sometimes it's
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah, the way it goes.
You know,
like
like-
music.
Like The Weeknd, we waited till this last album where he had what's the one about headlights or something?
Oh, was it
Yeah.
the flashing lights? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like the whatever
Yeah.
he's trying to sound like Michael Jackson. He sounds like
Yeah,
80s,
that one.
80s pop
Yeah.
Weekend,
Um,
which I enjoyed. It's good.
and Can't Feel My
Can't Feel My Face.
Can't Feel My, but that's
Yeah.
old. But anyway, when we realized like, hey, there's some more upbeat, because you can, like doing The Weeknd, everyone wants to do that, like, you know, grooving music, and you're like, we will put the audience to sleep. You know, it has to be a little bit more up tempo than that.
It
So
feels like, yeah. I watched the Weeknd Super Bowl halftime
Super Bowl.
performance,
Mhm.
and I mean, it was kind of trippy because
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening.
But I was just gonna say, it feels like once an artist is Super Bowl level, you could definitely do a show based around them, because that means they have enough like varied songs. Like Usher
Yeah.
just
we've done Usher twice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever thought about doing one hit wonders, having a show of just going through an artist that just have one jam that just goes, like regardless of the genre era. You know what I mean? Y'all might do a genre era.
We did Producer's Choice because I just wanted someone to dance in the air tonight. It's really the only reason. I was like, I'm not trying to do a whole Phil Collins night, but like
we did Genesis.
We
actually did. I love Genesis. They have enough, but again, it's something that you're like, I didn't know that was them or Phil Collins. We did do a one hit wonder back at the R Bar, and it was like it's hard in the sense like it's not like it's all over the place, right. And also you want it to be again some upbeat songs. It can't just be. I think we also with the Producer's Choice, I wanted it to be the moment you heard the first two notes, you know the song,
right?
And that it just gets harder. Like how do you promote that? You know?
Yeah, but y'all been doing it 11 years now. Like y'all are pros at it.
Thank you.
It feels long.
I will tell you this, man. It feels like y'all are so seasoned at it. Like it didn't even matter if you knew the songs. It didn't matter if you knew the dancers or whatever. Like it felt very comfortable in there.
Thank you.
It didn't matter if you knew which.
We made lots of little tweaks to make it feel like that. Like stuff you wouldn't even notice, just to keep the show tight. Because I think the only time the show doesn't look its best is like when things are like the transition's gotta be quick. You need. I don't want anyone thinking like, does this go together? Like you just gotta keep it gotta keep it moving. You should watch that Weeknd concert. It's weird. The one that's on HBO Max.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
Can we be invited back after you see it? There is a runway that goes from one side of the stadium to the other. And he is the only one on the runway most of the time. Every once in a while, some dancers, and I know they're dancers. I say this because he just had them walk. They didn't dance.
So he's just a chubby, tiny Canadian man trying to rock the entire LA arena. And
on a runway, walking back and forth.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's so weird.
It's a little indulgent.
Yeah, I'm not like a huge Weeknd guy anyway, so like it would just be comedy to me to watch him try that shit. Because even the Super Bowl thing, like the Super Bowl thing, made me feel like, oh, that must be what it's like to be on cocaine. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he wanted to give us all
that feel, because
I was feeling at home of like, hey, you ever been on cocaine? I'm like, not. Oh, okay, this is what it's like. Oh, crazy.
This makes sense, because I looked at Roger like, what did we just watch?
That's his best foot forward, because the concert,
it's like 2 hours long.
It's so it's a good light show. It's a good light show.
A lot of lights.
Right.
A lot of lights.
Laser lights.
Yeah, I feel like the Weeknd's on that level where you need to know all his songs to enjoy that shit. Like some artists are so good you don't even need to know all their songs. Like they just start performing and you're just like, I don't even know what this shit is, but it's hit. Like I need to know the Weeknd songs in advance, because Some of that shit is boring to me.
You know, they did. I will say this to his credit, they did some different arrangements.
Yeah.
And like with the music to make it a little more up tempo, to make it more like they kind of did like an EDM, like, hey, it's an arena. We can't be like in your headphones, like, because sometimes it just sounds like headphone music.
I'm with them. You have to be a fan. I'm not a fan of his. The popular songs were awesome. Like, because I knew them. And he sounded amazing. And the band, I think there was like, it's a live band. It was amazing. And then everything else, I'm like, fast forward. Fast forward the song. I don't care.
The Super Bowl shit, I at least knew them songs.
Yeah, I mean,
so like, you know, it flew by. Like, I was like, okay, I can't feel my face as well. I think that's about you know what I mean? I was putting it together as I was watching.
Song. I love that song so much. I love it. I don't know why. I just love it. There's some music breakdowns I like about it. But
and another thing I wanted to tell you guys and to tell the audience, the performers are great, and they go through the crowd, which actually at first I didn't know how to handle that. You know, with them performing and then just kind of going through the crowd. But I was talking to him and everything. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Karen's such an extrovert.
They love that.
I'm extra.
Like, Karen's such an extrovert. Because I went there, when I went by myself, I'm sitting there at the thing at the bar or whatever. And like, you know, like a dancer comes out after they're done and they're like talking to people. And in my head, I'm like, because it's a euphoric feeling, like watching everybody perform. Mm-hmm. And so like, in my head, I'm like, you should tell her she did a great job.
That's what I told her.
But then in my brain, in the other part of my, I'm like, is that weird? Is that
right? Is it creepy?
Am I now being like a weirdo? And so Karen comes, who's my extrovert counterpart, and she's like, oh, you did great. You were doing amazing or whatever. And they're like, thank you so much. And I was like, fuck, I should have been doing this the whole time. They all come back here and I just don't say shit. They probably think I'm not feeling it. I love this shit. Like, it was so cool.
I told them they was doing a good job. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. I do have one suggestion though. If you're going to the show, the best way to go, in my opinion, go with one of the comedians that invites you. Then they do the show. They give you drink tickets. Then the other comedians will come by because comedians are all awkward and shit, and they like to talk to each other after they do their sets to be like, "Hey man, what'd you think?" And then they'll give you their drink tickets as well.
Yeah, because they're going to perform at other shows.
I was so fucking drunk.
They was like, "We can't use these. We're going to perform somewhere else." Rod, you want them?
Oh my god, I was so fucked up.
Yeah, you know, like 2 or 3 of the comics that
so listen, if you're listening to the show, start a podcast, befriend a lot of comedians in New York, have them come on your show. Eventually, one of them will probably get asked, you know, wait a few years for them to get good. They'll probably get asked to be on the show. Then you go to the show with them. Boom, you hobnob. Mike Kaplan comes in. He don't drink. Boom, that's 2 more drinks.
A lot of them don't drink. Yep, a lot of them don't drink, and they all get drink tickets. Then you get their drink tickets, and then you sit there. They leave, and you watch the whole show.
It's amazing, guys. It's the best way to do it from my experience. Can you tell everybody about the show, where to go to get tickets, and all that stuff as well?
Sure. You go to schtickandpole.com. You can type in comedy and pole dancing. We're the only one. Or at Schtick it on Instagram is the easiest one for everyone to remember. Also, if you're super Christian and you've never heard the word shtick, it's SCHTICK. If you're not around Jewish people at all in your life, and once you've learned to spell it once, it's fine. So we're the only, but most of the time I just tell people Google comedy and pole dancing, and we should be the only ones that come up.
Yeah, I'll have a link
or like a fail video, people falling off a pole.
Yes,
I'll make sure to have a link to it in the show notes. Yes. And the upcoming show is Justin Bieber. Are there still tickets left for Justin Bieber?
There are still tickets left for Bieber.
If you listening to this, don't fuck up.
Yeah, and
go see this shit.
And let them know. Shout out to the people that reached out to y'all and was like, we heard y'all.
Yeah.
So these people came to our show, and I'm like, how'd you find out? I tried to talk to some people afterwards, just like kind of find out how they knew, and they're like, we would listen to this podcast. I'm like, what's the podcast? And that I'm so happy that I reached out to you guys, because that first of all, thank you so much for talking about our show and the fact that people showed up. That's, you know, like, honestly, again, 11 years, always trying to figure it out.
I forget we have a podcast in that type of way, you know? So like, it's crazy. We would have loved to have you on. I should have had you on when that shit happened, just to be like, oh my God, we got it. But I'm just a person, and I'll be like, I had a great time that night, and don't even think
about it no more.
And so when you hit me, when you direct message me, I was like, yes, come on the show. We can do it tonight. I don't give a fuck. Like, it was so great. Yeah. And I'm so glad y'all could be here, man. Y'all are like amazing, funny comedians. You do an amazing show.
It is worth it. Travel, y'all. If you're in that surrounding area, make the trip. Yeah. They do it twice a month.
And shout out to Keith and the girls.
Thank you.
Because Keith and the girl was
coming back to New York.
Well, hopefully I get the right for a TV show again, and then we'll see. Because I live in Charlotte.
What TV show?
It was a TV show called Game Theory with Bomani Jones. It's like a sports comedy show, late night. So like we did it for 2 seasons, and when we were doing it, they didn't want us to work remote. They wanted us to like come to New York and do it. And so I just went up there basically to work, and my social life was non-existent. So like this was perfect. This was like my outing. I look forward to the fuck out of this every 2. I was like, let's fucking go, you know? So I appreciate y'all, man. And like I said, shout out to Keith and the girl, because that was where I believe I first heard of the show. And then it was a no-brainer after that. Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, make sure y'all go check out Schtick a Pole in it. I promise you will have a great time.
You're gonna have a ball.
You don't have a great time, email us, let us know. We'll tell you to fuck yourselves, and we'll move on, because how the fuck you not have a great time? And make sure y'all follow them on everything and whatnot. We'll be back Saturday for our feedback show. No show tomorrow. We're going to do a sports show tomorrow, because that's when Justin can do it. So, and hopefully Kendrick and Drake don't release any more songs till Saturday. So we don't have to give y'all an update or whatever. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next time. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you guys so
much.
Thank you so much.